Welcome back to the Birdhouse Fantasy Network and our live recap of week 4, the crazy week it was, some big time injuries, some big time performances. So let's get things started right off talking about our Sunday night game, the Ravens hosting the Buffalo Bills, and the man, the myth, the legend, Derrick Henry. That's right. He rolled off an 87-yarder untouched off tackle to start the game off for the Ravens offense and did not look back the rest of the evening, finishing off with a $199 on the ground, 209 yards total for the King, 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, and that big run. Not much else going on for the Ravens offense. They didn't need it, really. Lamar Jackson threw for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns, also ran for 1 on the ground. So a big night for Lamar and his owners. Justice Hill added 6 grabs for 78 yards and a 19-yard touchdown. So the Ravens were rolling all evening long. The Bills had a chance in the third quarter to narrow the gap, but a Josh Allen fumble and recovery by the Ravens turned things around. They went down and scored a touchdown, and it was good night for Buffalo. Josh Allen finished the night 16 of 29 for 180 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Had just 21 yards on the ground and that fumble on the sack. James Cook had a rough evening, couldn't quite get going, just 9 carries for 39 yards. Receiving wise for Buffalo, Dalton Kincaid 5 for 47, Khalil Shakir 4 for 62, and Keon Coleman 3 for 51. So let's get on to the earlier games. And so, again, the Bills just really couldn't get things going tonight. Should have been a good matchup, but, sometimes defenses just step it up. And after that big King Henry run to start the game off, it was all downhill for the Bills. I don't know. It was exciting to see Henry with that run. I don't know if you're going to pay more for Henry now, but he does solidify himself as a solid trade target, leading the league in rushing right now. We're going to head over to the Chiefs and Chargers game, where the big news there, as I mentioned earlier, we had some big injuries, and this would be one of the biggest injuries of the day. Most likely an ACL tear on a Patrick Mahomes interception early in the game. Rashee Rice trying to make a play on it, and we'll see. There's an MIR tomorrow, but Andy Reid has said that it doesn't look good. It happened real early in the game, so Rashee Rice didn't get any points. Real rough day for Rashee Rice and his owners. The Chiefs did come back to pull this game out. They were down 10-0. It was kind of an ugly one. But for the Chiefs, anyway, Kareem Hunt did have 14 carries for 69 yards, so anybody who stuck Carson Steele in their lineup this week, myself included in my guillotine league because I traded away Najee Harris. That didn't work out so well. I mean, it was only 10 points, but we'll see if DK can bail me out tomorrow night and save my season in that guillotine league. Back to Kareem Hunt, though, finished with 69 yards on the ground, added 16 through the air. So it looks like the Chiefs are going to go with Kareem Hunt, at least for the next month or two until Isaiah Pacheco can possibly return. We'll see on that. Travis Kelce with Rashee Rice leaving the game. Looks like Kelce might be back. He finished the game what did he, 7 for 89. So Kelsey owners can sort of celebrate the Rashee Rice injury. Don't like celebrating anybody's injury, but Kelsey seemed to be back in the groove over the middle, getting those looks that may have gone to Rashee Rice. Kelsey finishing with 7 for 89. Xavier Worthy got a big touchdown there, 54-yarder, finished the day with 73 yards. Not much else, though, through the air. Patrick Mahomes, 245, 1 touchdown, and the 1 pick. Justin Herbert did play this week with that high ankle sprain. Herbert ended up with 179 yards and a touchdown to Ladd McConkey, who went 5 for 67, and the touchdown. Not much else going on through the air for the Chargers. 3 for 36 from Josh Palmer. Quentin Johnston, who had started off the season pretty hot, just 1 catch for 9 yards. Through the ground, on the ground for the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins was stifled all day. 14 carries for 32 yards, just couldn't get it going. Gus Edwards, 6 for 19 only, so that's 20 carries for 51 yards combined between the two veterans. Just couldn't get things going after a hot start for the Chargers today. Now, let's see what we should talk about next here. Let's bring up another late afternoon game. We've got the Browns and Raiders, and we'll start it off talking about Amari Cooper, who looked to be bursting out here. Just finished with 4 for 35, but had an 82-yarder called back due to a questionable hold call. So unfortunately for the Browns, it was 20-16 at the time. That would have put them in the lead. Watson did lead them down the field, but couldn't quite get it done. They were stuffed around the 20-yard line as the clock ended up running out then. So for the Browns, well, let's see. Watson finished with 176, a touchdown and a pick. So another mediocre game. He added 32 yards on the ground. Jerome Ford, though, 58 yards on the ground, also added 7 catches for 27 yards on the afternoon. Jerry Jeudy did get 6 catches for 72 yards, so not a bad performance from him. Over to the Raiders side of the ball, Alexander Madison actually led the team in rushing, 60 yards on just 5 carries. Zamir White, 17 for 50. Kind of ugly there. Trey Tucker, though, was the big story here. He got a touchdown on the ground. He also added 5 for 41 through the air. Jacoby Myers, in Devontae Adams' absence, had 10 targets, so that's promising, but just 5 for 49. Gardner Minshew finished the day only 14 of 24 for 130 yards. Pretty ugly, but, as long as he's just your quarterback 3, not that big of a deal. Fortunately, though, Brock Bowers only got 2 catches for 19 yards on the day. Next up, we're going to talk about the last game of the afternoon, and that featured the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Washington Commanders, coming off their big win in Cincinnati on Monday night. And yes, it was the Jaden Daniels show. This guy is just, what can I say, on fire. I mean, I don't know who in Dynasty at quarterback you're going to say you want over this man who's only 23 years old. I mean, it's hard to say. Are you going to trade Josh Allen straight up for him? Wow. This guy, 26 of 30, 87% today, 233 yards, a touchdown and a pick. On the ground, he added 8 for 47 and another touchdown. Brian Robinson with a big day, 21 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown. He added 12 yards through the air. Receiving wise, Terry McLaurin did get that touchdown catch, added 52 yards to that on 7 catches, 10 targets for McLaurin. Not much else going on for the Commanders, but I don't want to get his name wrong. Olamide Zaccheaus did get 6 catches for 85 yards only. 6 targets, 6 catches, 85 yards for Olamide Zaccheaus. Check him out on your waivers because there really isn't a second option here in Washington. I mean, Zach Ertz just 3 for 22. Noah Brown 3 for 26. So, check out Olamide Zaccheaus in your deeper formats. Going over to the Cardinals, rough day for Kyler Murray, just 142 yards and a touchdown to Marvin Harrison. On the ground, Kyler only had 3 yards, so was a pretty rough day. James Conner did find a way to get over the century mark. He had 104 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Marvin Harrison, 5 for 45 and that touchdown on their opening drive. But unfortunately for the Cardinals, they couldn't get much else going all afternoon. Greg Dortch, 4 for 38. Michael Wilson, who many were predicting a big day with the absence of Trey McBride and his concussion. Just 3 catches on 7 targets, 38 yards. Elijah Higgins, who some people picked up, had 3 targets, just 2 for 12 for Higgins. James Conner got 9 yards on 1 catch. So now to the earlier games of the day, and let's see, which one should we talk about first? Let's head over to Indianapolis, where we had the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Indy, and there was a big injury there. Anthony Richardson hurt his hip, but Justin Fields showed up, and he threw for 312 yards and a touchdown to Pat Freiermuth. Fields, though, big points there on the ground, 55 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns for Justin Fields. George Pickens finally broke out, got 11 targets, 7 catches, 113 yards, no touchdowns, though. Najee Harris was pretty quiet on the ground, only 19 yards on 13 attempts, but did get 3 catches for 54 yards, a big 32-yard catch. Couldn't get the Steelers to victory, though. It was Joe Flacco. Flacco, once again, coming up big for his team. Last year, it was for the Browns. Now he's in Indianapolis. We'll have to see on Anthony Richardson's injury, but if Richardson can't go next week with the hip injury, better believe Joe Flacco is going to be a hot waiver wire pickup for anybody who needs a 1-week replacement. Flacco went 16 of 26 for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh, man, one of those to Josh Downs, who finished 8 for 82, and the other went to Drew Ogletree, one of the many tight ends in that Colts offense. Michael Pittman with Flacco in there finally broke out, 6 for 113 for Pittman. And then Jonathan Taylor on the ground had 21 for 88 and a touchdown, added 3 for 20 through the air. So he got over 100 yards. Anthony Richardson, again, got injured. He had 24 yards rushing before the injury, just 3 for 4 and 71 yards through the air before he got hurt and disappointed his fantasy owners. We'll have to see. A-Rich has struggled all season, and now he's got an injury. We'll see if the Colts want to rest him for a week before they bring him back. Might not be a bad idea. I mean, Flacco obviously looked like he had good command of the Colts offense. So we'll see what Indy decides to do. I don't know. If I were them, I might rest Richardson for for a week, but keep an eye out for that and see if Flacco's available in your league. You might want to go after him and waivers. All right. Next up, we're going to head over to Carolina, where the Bengals headed and took their 0-3 record into Carolina to face the Red Rocket in his revenge game. Big news there was Chuba Hubbard, 104 yards on the ground, 4 catches for 17 yards. He had a rushing touchdown, so big day again for Chuba Hubbard. Deontay Johnson, with Andy Dalton throwing him the ball, 13 targets, 7 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Xavier Legette, 6 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. Andy Dalton finishing the day, 25 of 40 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Over to Cincinnati's stats, we had Joe Burrow throwing for 232 yards, big touchdown pass to Jamar Chase for 63 yards. Chase finishing the day 3 for 85. T. Higgins actually had more targets. Higgins out-targeted Chase today 10-6. Higgins finishing with 6 for 60. Over to the backfield in Cincinnati, we had that breakout game we were looking for from Chase Brown. Still in, he ended up even with Zach Moss in rushing attempts. Got 80 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground for Chase Brown. So looking to see if maybe the tide is turning there in Cincinnati and they're going to give Chase Brown more looks. Well, it happened today. He didn't actually end up with more touches. It was close, but I think the production is there and we see the efficiency from Chase Brown. So going forward, right now it's damn near 50-50. And Zach Moss, not a terrible day. I mean, 51 yards on the ground, 27 yards through the air on 4 catches, had a receiving touchdown. Chase Brown had 2 catches for 12 yards. So all total, Brown had 92 yards. Zach Moss with 78 yards. So this is as 50-50 as you can get with the Bengals backfield. They finally pulled out a victory, winning that game 34-24. Now we'll head over to Texas, where the Texans took on the Jaguars, and my thumbnail for today was the one, the only Nico Collins, who just blew up today. 12 for 50, 151 on 15 targets and a touchdown for Nico. Stroud went 27 of 40, 345 and 2 touchdowns. The other one, a little dump off to Dare Ogunbowale near the end of the game to pull it out for the Texans. Cam Akers just 13 for 53 on the ground. So Dare Ogunbowale, knew I would butcher that. Ogunbowale, yes. Had 4 for 47 through the air, just 7 yards on the ground, but that's not his game. Stephon Diggs did add a rushing touchdown early on in that one, had 9 targets, 5 for 69. So in the absence of Tank Dell, the Texans rolled on, moving the Jaguars to another loss. They're still winless on the season. Trevor Lawrence just 18 of 33 through the air, 169. Did get 2 touchdowns, so maybe we're seeing a little bit better from Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. I still think he definitely is a buy low because, I mean, right now in Dynasty, he's basically going for what? Second rounder. I mean, I don't know. Ooh, let's see here. We've got a couple comments. Camden is in the house here. Welcome, Camden. We got Colin, Dominic. Oh, yeah. Dominic with the big. Yeah, with the big one. Good to see you. Aiden. Ooh, let's see. How could I trade up TJ Hawkinson and Olave. Think anyone would bite? Well, Aiden, with the tight end production so far this season, there really isn't anyone that's shown up. I mean, Brock Bowers is the hottest tight end, and you saw what he did today, just one catch, 12 yards in Devontae Adams' absence. So, I mean, teams are I'm sure the Browns heavily blanketed Brock Bowers today. So you're looking to trade up from TJ Hawkinson. It's kind of hard to do it right now. Got to watch the injury reports. If you're going to trade Hawkinson, ideally it's right before his first game back, because people are going to be excited for him, especially with this tight end wasteland that we've got going on right now. So I would wait. I would hold off on trading Hawkinson right this second, unless somebody is really going after him. I mean, if you're looking to get into the elite tier of receivers, I don't know if you can get to the absolute elite, and now it's going to be tough to get Nico Collins. So you had an offer for Garrett Wilson. I don't know that Wilson is any. Yeah, I don't think Wilson is any upgrade from Olave at this time right now. So I would hold off on that. Hopefully Hawkinson is on your IR and you're stashing him and not wasting a bench spot on him. But I would definitely hold off on that. I don't see Garrett Wilson as any upgrade from Olave right now. There's no reason to pull that. Yeah. And you've got, okay, so you have Kelsey. So yeah, definitely wait. I would look elsewhere though for an upgrade. There's no reason to trade for Garrett Wilson from Olave. So maybe you want to look at the running back position. I don't know what you have there, but maybe you can package one of your running backs with Hawkinson and look to upgrade there. Whether you want to go from a lower tier guy like somebody like Chase Brown, who just had a good game, that would be something ideal. Take Chase Brown and Hawkinson and move it up to a better volume type back, like say David Montgomery or somebody in the middling range there. Maybe Ken Walker, if he struggles tonight. He is the guy in Seattle when he's healthy, and he's going to be more consistent than Chase Brown. So somebody in that middling tier. I mean, even James Conner you could look at. He had a good game though, so it's going to be hard to buy him. But yeah, I would look at a different position there. You have Barkley, Kyron, Singletary, Jefferson, Olave, and Devontae Smith as your core. Okay, so yeah, it's just hard to move up from Olave now, because the next tier, the next tier is the elite. A ton of trading in this league. Okay, well, that's good. But maybe Devontae Smith is coming back the same week that Hawkinson is, and you could package them. I like A.J. Brown more than Devontae Smith there. Or if you want, you could package Hawkinson and Olave. I don't know that you want to have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, although they are having the so that's something I would look at. A.J. Brown's going to be coming back from injury following their bye. So there you go. There you go. Try with the Wilson owner. That's perfect. All right. Now, maybe again, they have their bye next week, so you might want to hold off. Because again, Hawkinson should be coming back soon. They haven't given the exact date yet, but that's what I would look at doing there, Aiden. Colin bringing up his Bengals there. Ugly Bengals win. Hey, Colin, a win is a win. I mean, ugly or not, I mean, the Chiefs have won ugly all season so far, and they'll take all 4 of their wins. I'm sure if you had pulled out that win against Kansas City, you'd be happy either way. All right, let's I don't want to forget the other Jaguars guys. After Lawrence, We have, let's see, on the ground, Travis Etienne got a shoulder injury. He went 11 for 50. So he did get back into the game, but Tank Bigsby in the meantime got 7 carries for 90 yards. So there was one long 58-yarder there, but I mean, you can't subtract the big ones, right? I mean, Jamar Chase had a 63-yarder. Are we going to say, oh, well, he didn't do much otherwise? You know, that's the way the game goes. I mean, big plays are big plays, and they're important. Brian Thomas, 9 targets today, 6 for 86 and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 12 targets, 7 for 61 and a touchdown. So these guys, this offense really needs Evan Ingram back, though. I'm telling you. And Trevor Lawrence needs Evan Ingram back. Brendan Strange, I know, had a decent week last week, just 3 for 19 this week. So not much going on. Gabe Davis really has become just unimportant at all. They need Evan Ingram back in a big way there in Jacksonville. Let's go over to, I don't even know if I want to talk about this one. We had the Denver Broncos after their drubbing of the Buccaneers last week headed to New York. And yeah, you're welcome, Aiden. No problem. Anytime. Thanks for joining the stream. I enjoy having you in here and everybody else who's still in here. It's glad to have you tonight. It was a wild day today. Lots of big performances, a couple of big injuries today. Let's go over to the Broncos-Jets game, which was just completely ugly. I mean, Bo Nix, who's looked all right, but his ADOT is just so low in that offense. I know that Sean Payton picked him out wanting him, but I mean, it's a tough offense to get a hold of. So it's going to take some time. He's a rookie and he's getting to know it. In the meantime, though, the Denver defense stepped it up against the New York Jets. The Broncos offense was carried today by Javonte Williams, 16 carries, 77 yards. So Javonte showed up. There was driving rain there in New York, so they really won it on the ground. Jaleel McLaughlin added 9 carries for 46 yards. Not much going on through the air, though. The lone touchdown did go to Cortland Sutton, who had 9 targets, 3 for 60. So just an ugly offensive day there in the Meadowlands. Aaron Rodgers, 24 of 42 for 225, no touchdowns, no picks. Garrett Wilson, who you mentioned, Aiden, in a possible trade, 5 for 41. I just don't. I know we all, whoever has Garrett Wilson, we drafted him in the back end of the first round, early second round in redraft leagues. And those Dynasty owners were super excited about getting, Aaron Rodgers onto the field with Garrett Wilson. Well, man, it's frustrating. I got Garrett Wilson in a couple leagues too. So I just don't know what to say about Garrett Wilson. Like, I think that you'll get a couple of 20-point games from him. And, I just think he's going to be like maybe he'll finish in the wide receiver 15 to 20 range. But Aiden, you talked about Olave. Like, I kind of like Olave better right now, just because the Saints offense looks better. And then Aaron Rodgers likes his veterans. What can I say? Alan Lazard, you look at the numbers here, 8 targets, just like Garrett Wilson had, just like Tyler Conklin had. And then Mike Williams is there, 4 for 67 for Williams. Lazard had 5 for 58. So, I mean, Rodgers is a guy who he's a smart quarterback. He'll spread it around if he needs to. I don't know what the connection, we were all hoping Garrett Wilson was going to become his Devontae Adams, and it just hasn't happened yet. And personally, I would not be betting on it this year. So if you can find somebody in your league that wants Garrett Wilson, wants to pay more for Garrett Wilson, then go ahead and do it. I don't know if you got to cross positionally try a trade to get a running back there. But most of you have Garrett Wilson. He's either your wide receiver 1 or 2, and you're hoping for more. I just don't know that it's going to happen this year. Braylon Allen did get more he ended up with 8 carries for 34 yards. Breece Hall, though, just a disappointing afternoon. 10 carries, 4 yards only. He added 2 catches for 14. Just a horrendous afternoon for Breece Hall. I think there's better days ahead for this Jets backfield. But again, Garrett Wilson, I mean, if there was a sell low, I would sell low on Garrett Wilson, because there's still going to be somebody in your league who's banking on Garrett Wilson maybe becoming something like we are all predicting in the offseason. Let's head over to Green Bay, where the Minnesota Vikings took their 3-0 record and headed into Lambeau Field. And it was the return of Jordan Love today, but Sam Darnold stole the show, and he finished with 275, 3 touchdowns through the air, had a pick. But, man, Sam Darnold just tearing it up, doing exactly what we all hoped J.J. McCarthy could do. He targeted Justin Jefferson 8 times, 6 for 85 for Jefferson, had a couple of big catches on the drive that got the Vikings a field goal that sealed the game. He got a touchdown. Jordan Addison came back strong, 3 for 72 through the air with a touchdown. Also added one on the ground, a 7-yard run. Aaron Jones, 22 for 93 on the ground. Kind of surprising. Tyler Chandler, only 3 carries here. So I think we saw today, and I don't know if it was just because Aaron Jones was back in Lambeau and they wanted him to have a big day against the Packers. But, Tyler Chandler, I thought you would have seen more from him in a game like today. But Aaron Jones added 4 for 46 through the air, so well over 100 yards total offense for Aaron Jones on the day. Good performance there. Over to the Packers side of the ball, Jordan Love in his first game back from that knee injury. Oh, it was ugly in the first half for Jordan Love. Threw a couple picks in the first half. Did end up the day with 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, and those 3 picks. So fantasy owners were plenty happy with Jordan Love's performance. But those 2 picks really led to that 28-0 deficit for the Packers, and they were just throwing the rest of the day. Josh Jacobs, only 9 for 51 on the ground as a result of that deficit that they had. Emmanuel Wilson, 8 touches on the ground for 27 yards. In the air, though, Jaden Reed, big fantasy day, 7 for 139 and a touchdown. Definitely establishing himself there as the wide receiver 1. We were all wondering who it was going to be. Jaden Reed was the popular bet this offseason, and so that is coming to fruition. Dontavian Wicks, 13 targets today, 5 for 78 and 2 touchdowns. He's going to be needing to step things up, as Christian Watson did leave the game with an injury. Follow that. I know most of you hopefully didn't have to put Watson into your lineup today. Tucker Kraft, 6 catches for 53 yards. Luke Musgrave only 3 for 13. So Tucker Kraft definitely taking over the tight end room there. He added a touchdown on those 53 yards, and Romeo Doubs had just 4 catches for 39 yards on 8 targets. All right. And then we've got just a couple more games. We're going to head down to the NFC South and get into the Saints visiting the Falcons here. We had a big game from Alvin Kamara. He had 19 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown, 7 for 42 through the air. So a nice game for Kamara. Lots of attempts here from Derek Carr, 28 of 36, only 239 yards though. Chris Olave, who we did bring up, he bounced back, 10 targets, 8 for 87. Rashid Shaheed also added 8 for 83. So good game for the tandem there from New Orleans. Taysom Hill added 2 rushing touchdowns for the Saints. So Taysom Hill coming through for those of you who are able to put him into your tight end position. He was a great late round pick for most of you who did get him. Kirk Cousins, though, he can't quite get this Atlanta offense down. Just 21 to 35, only 238 yards. So hold on. I'll be right back. I'm going to have to pause this. All right. I'll be right back. I'll have to start this up again. Oh boy.